if Lois died, Superman would succumb to the anti-life, of course, right? And if Superman knew that somehow it was Bruce's responsibility to protect Lois, he would have been mad at him in this movie, right? Like, so that's why he says, she was my world and you took her from me. So that was sort of and then of course, he has to jump back. And the other thing that we were working on was this idea that Cyborg said to Bruce in the distant future, like, there's two windows. We had come up with this time traveling concept where basically the way the time traveling window worked is that it's not awesome physics and doesn't make any sense, but that you had to do a time jump when the Earth was in relatively the same spot, right? Because if you did a time jump and the Earth wasn't like in the same position in space, you would jump into space and just be like dead. And so, okay, so there's always like, so they had two windows, right, to do the jump. And Cyborg says, like, which of these two windows do you think we should use? And Bruce was like, well, what window would you have put me through if you didn't ask? And he's like, this one. And then he's like, use the other one. Because that one you already did, and it was the wrong one. Barry Allen was in my freaking Batcave yelling at me about, like, nonsense. So you need to put him through that other one, because that's the one that will... Because he had to jump right before Darkseid boom tubes into the Batcave to murder Lois, so you have to, like... Anyway... So that was the window that he had to hit. Anyway.
All right. What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on Zack Snyder's original DCEU 5-part plan for his DC universe. Now, 4 days ago, this was posted online. The original 5-part plan, the story outline for what Zack Snyder wanted. Now, it included the following movies: Man of Steel 2013, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice 2016, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2017, not the movie that was released in the cinema, then Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 2019, then Zack Snyder's Justice League 3 2022. Obviously, the latter /3 were not released. So what is good, YouTube? Warstu here. If you are new, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos, and make sure to subscribe the hell out of this video and share the hell out of this video. At the 100,000 subscribe mark, I will be giving away something pretty cool. So as you know, in the Justice League release of Snyder Cut Man of Steel community, I've been covering this subject for over 3 years now on my channel, pretty much since day one, and this came up on the Zack Snyder DCEU leaks, also the DCEU leaks, and also the Zack Snyder subreddit. So we can't confirm or verify if all of this is real, but it is pretty cool. As you know, Zack Snyder has spoke about what was supposed to happen in his variation of the Justice League trilogy, as it was supposed to be 3 movies. So I don't know who actually posted this, except for the person who put it on Reddit. So I will leave it down below. So it goes like this: the original 5-part plan story outline. Man of Steel 2013. Kryptonian society is established without any of its members having any free will. Jor-El gives his son free will through the Codex, allowing him to choose to be good or bad. Every other Kryptonian is a simulation in a body, including Zod. Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice 2016. A period of global division is experienced amongst all humanity, peaked in Batman vs Superman, who almost kill one another. In the middle of the film, we see the story jump to the Nightmare timeline, which is my favorite part of the BVS movie, where Batman's deepest fears are realized as he sees a fallen Earth condemned by Superman, who kills him. Suddenly, he is awoken from his nightmare as Barry Allen tears through space and time, attempting to warn Bruce of the anti-life Superman. This leads Bruce to attack and attempt to kill Superman, ultimately realizing his humanity and deciding against it. Superman dies battling Doomsday. The film ends with dirt on Superman's coffin, teasing his return. So if some of this actually happened, as you know, Superman did die in Batman vs Superman, and we got the extended cut of Batman vs Superman. It was 35 minutes longer, and a lot of people appreciate it because there was so many conjunctional missing parts to the cinema release of Batman vs Superman, where we've seen people, reviewers, critics actually changing their opinion and appreciating Batman vs Superman a lot more when they got to see the extended cut. Now, this is where it gets interesting because this is Zack Snyder's Justice League 2017, not to be confused with the variation that we got at the cinema that I don't really know what it was supposed to be. So, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2017. The film starts with an alien invasion led by alien warmonger Darkseid of Apocalypse seeking to take control of the unsuspecting Earth. The assault is fought off by the Amazonians, Earth's armies, Atlanteans before the submerge, the Greek gods, and the sectors of the Green Lanterns. In the modern time, following the death of Superman, Darkseid, aged uncle Steppenwolf seeks to end his own enslavement under Darkseid. But actually, I'm saying Darkseid, he's not actually known as Darkseid at this point in the story. To join the array of the new gods, he returns to Earth to reclaim his conquest by retaking 3 chained engines known as mother boxes. With these mother boxes, Steppenwolf plans to utilize the fear, alienation, doubt, and dissolution of Earth following the death of Superman to power his parademons troops. There is no protector here, no lanterns, no Kryptonians. That was a line in a Justice League trailer that they didn't even put in the movie because we didn't get the real movie. The Justice League, formed by Bruce and Diana, utilized one of the mother boxes with the help of Cyborg to resurrect Superman after sensing foreign material in his body. The codex from Man of Steel, Cyborg interfacing with the ship and the mother box paint Superman as a coming threat, but they continue to resurrect him, fighting off and ultimately murdering Steppenwolf, including Wonder Woman cutting his head off while he tried to escape. His head falls through a boom tube, briefly showing Darkseid at the other end. He sees the Justice League. The world is saved. After credit scenes, 2 Green Lanterns appearing to Bruce at his lake house as they are traced the mother boxes to his property, warning him of a coming war. Now, we know Darkseid was actually meant to appear in this movie, as it is public knowledge that there is an image going around of Gal Gadot doing a voiceover in front of some kind of graphics of Darkseid. So we know that Darkseid was meant to appear. They even had a voice actor for Darkseid.
Project Comic-Con. I am Darkseid.
It's the end of the world.
Release the Snyder Cut.
That's how it starts.
Now, the Justice League 2 and 3, this is where these kind of get a bit crazy and kind of get a bit skeptical. And part 2 and 3 aren't confirmed, but the first part is at least pretty truthful in my opinion. So Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 2019. And remember, this part 3 of a trilogy, this was all announced way before Infinity War and EndGame was announced. So let's get into this. Batman senses the threat unending and not fully finished, decides to take the fight to Apocalypse. After introducing the Green Lanterns to the rest of the League, Superman feels a call of duty but remains hesitant to leave, having just found out that Lois is pregnant with his child. Batman convinces him they need him. Alfred stays in Bruce's penthouse with Lois to protect her. Wonder Woman, aware of Bruce's nightmare, joins with the lacking conviction. Flash, Cyborg also agree to go, as Cyborg's mother box vision depicts a war. Aquaman refuses to his new role as king following the events of Aquaman 2019, but is convinced by Mera to join the team. The League uses Bruce, remodeled Flying Fox, to leave Earth as Cyborg opens a portal to the New Genesis, meeting a recent alliance between the New Gods and the Green Lantern's Corps to stop Darkseid. Darkseid's forces overpower the League, the New God Lanterns destroying their chance to return to Earth. Darkseid uses a codex with Superman's DNA and re-engineers it as a weapon to manipulate free will. Superman, trapped in New Genesis without the yellow sun, is not as strong enough to fight back. Darkseid travels to Earth with his army, aiming to conquer the planet now that no one is there to stop them. Batman's tactical plan fails and turns the League against him, fully cementing him in the isolation when Darkseid levels the entire Earth, killing billions and transforming into New Apocalypse. The League eventually makes it back to a fallen Earth, falling apart one by one, Superman having to witness a second planet of his destroyed, as well as the loss of Martha, Lois' unborn child. Falls to the anti-life equation. He fights and kills Darkseid, taking back Earth from Apocalypse and establishing the Nightmare timeline. Now, that is pretty interesting, but before we review that, we're going to go over what is going to happen in the part 3. So, Zack Snyder's Justice League 3, 2022, Metropolis, Gotham, Themyscira, Atlantis, all gone. Superman is a dictator. Batman, a deformed cyborg, and the Flash construct a cosmic treadmill. Bruce instructs the Flash to run back in time and warn everyone not to go to Apocalypse. Batman attempts to launch an assault upon the Kryptonian by locating the last remaining piece of kryptonite, once used by Batman and Superman to kill Doomsday. Batman is caught and overpowered. Superman imprisoned and executes Bruce, blaming him for taking his world away. After the Flash warns everyone preparing to leave, including the League and the Lanterns, he dies as they time jump window rip him apart between the future and the past. The League redraws their battle plan, deciding to unite the force of Earth and prepare for the final conflict between Apocalypse and Earth. Lois, now pregnant with Clark's child, is brought to the Batcave under guard by Alfred. Green Lantern's Corps beacons for all the lanterns to converge to protect Sector 2814. Batman, not knowing that Lois is the key to Superman's good side and the codec mixed with the human DNA, he continues to develop a weapon to kill Darkseid. Darkseid and his armies arrive, but now the League has the home field advantage and have prepared. Now that the Seven are united, you know, Snyder always wanted to unite the Seven, along with the armies of Mankind, Atlantis, the New Gods, and the Green Lantern Corps. Darkseid forces are pushed back. In the midst of the battle, Lois goes into labor and gives birth to Superman's son in the Batcave. Despite the major victory, the League and its forces are beat up pretty darn bad, including Superman, who is significantly weaker after the fight. Darkseid uses a boom tube to the Batcave, intending on harvesting the Codex life equation from the newborn due to its mixed codex of the human DNA, with a plan to engineer the anti-life equation. Before he is able to kill the child, Batman steps between Lois and Darkseid, firing the anti-life equation gun and hitting Darkseid. But before Darkseid dies, he fires an Omega beam, hitting Batman, killing him directly. And that is true because Snyder said that. I'll try and pull a clip right here if I can.
Do that other one, because that's the one that will, because he had to jump right before Darkseid boom tubes into the Batcave to murder Lois, so you have to anyway, so that was the window that he had to hit. Anyway.
Superman and the League mourn Batman's death before accepting the bittersweet victory. The world rejoices as Darkseid and his demons have died, gaining many more heroes in the death of Batman. Clark and Lois name their newborn son Jonathan Bruce Kent in honor of the man who saved the world. Okay, pretty darn cool storyline if you ask me. And most of it is 100% real. It can be fact checked with a video I'm going to include probably throughout this, or maybe tag the whole video onto end. It's a 10-minute video on YouTube where Zack Snyder, the director, is doing a Q&A for Batman vs Superman, and he talks about the original Justice League, what he was doing, his plan. So it literally backs up everything. Not only that, Kevin Smith also put a video out about Justice League. It was 3 films, so the 5-part plan all makes sense.
Of Justice League, Ooh.
Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah.
Let me tell you the things that I learned. This is what I heard about Justice League, which I thought was adorable, and I was so mad we didn't think of it first. They called it Justice League when Snyder was doing it, Zack Snyder. When Joss Whedon came in to take over, they called it Justice League. Right? It was right there. How did none of us know?
Oh, that's glorious.
It's really fucking good.
Wordplay.
This is what I heard about Justice League, according to folks that worked on both versions. They saw Jim Lee breakdown boards for all 3 Justice League movies.
Really?
First movie was kind of what we saw, fighting Steppenwolf, beating Steppenwolf. Then like the fucking boom tube opened up and they saw Darkseid, and Darkseid saw them. There was a mini scuffle or not, depending on who you're talking to. Boom tube closes, that's the end of the fucking movie, with them all knowing there's something out there and we have to go. Justice League 2 was going cosmic as they take the fight to Apocalypse and New Genesis, presumably, but we know Apocalypse. And the Lantern Corps was involved. Because do you remember that shot of Alfred going like, thank God you're here. Let's hope you're not too late. And everyone was like, oh, that's Superman because the S is the hope and shit like that. Guy I met and talked to who worked on the set was like, we had green lights that were flashing on Jeremy Irons to project a green glow. I said, why? He goes, because it was Green Lantern. Can you fucking imagine? But then things changed in production.
What was the third movie?
The third movie was 2 ends poorly, like Empire Strikes Back or Infinity War. So they go to space and get fucking defeated, and Darkseid goes to Earth and levels it. So the vision that Batman had in Batman v Superman, like, you know, of the fucking scorched earth, which one was that? Was it BVS or?
Yeah.
Yes, where he saw the fucking scorched earth and
Parademons and all that shit.
that was going to be the entire third movie. The hero's last stand against Darkseid and the forces of Apocalypse. Holy fuck. And then it went away. So it went from 3 movies to 2 to now just the one.
1 to half a one.
It is so freaking awesome. It's a shame that we are never, ever going to get the real 5-part plan that we should have got in the first place. But like I've always said, guys, I will always bring DC news to you guys because you guys seem to absolutely love these Snyder videos, these Man of Steel videos, these Justice League videos, all kind of DC videos. So I keep you up to date with all this kind of stuff. It's also worth saying that this is the original 5-movie plan, not what we got. This is what Zack Snyder originally wanted to do. I'm going to play a clip after this audio finishes where you hear all this kind of stuff of Zack Snyder doing a Q&A for Batman vs Superman, and you will hear that it backs up that he wanted Darkseid to come and try and kill Lois, but obviously she fails, and then Batman sacrifices himself to save her. So yeah, it sounded insane. We're never going to get the original plan, but it is cool that we are getting, and we do know, and it's confirmed basically by Zack himself that this was the plan. I hope one day that he releases the original Justice League cut, his original script that Warner Bros. Wouldn't let him do. I hope one day we get to see that, and if we do, I will do a video on it. So I'm going to leave you now with the Q&A because it's context and it is really interesting if you are into this kind of stuff. So like always, make sure to watch the end of the video, and like always guys, please like, subscribe and comment. I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.
Over here, Megan.
Hi, Zach. First, I just wanted to personally thank you for all the work that you're doing for suicide prevention. It's really important to me. And I guess I'm going to be the first person to throw out that awkward question about Justice League, which is basically...
Sure, what about it?
So, David Ayer...
Was it fun to make?
So David Ayer came out and...
David Ayer, okay.
He came out and he talked a little bit more about the early process, about how in Suicide Squad, originally, their villain was going to be Steppenwolf, and they're going to be fighting parademons and stuff like that, and he also released and also you on Instagram released an image of Darkseid and stuff like that. So I guess my question is kind of, what the hell happened?
It's a good question.
And what was going to happen?
All right. It's a fair question. David's prize. I'm not sure about that what David's talking about with the. I mean, look, Steppenwolf's in this movie, which was anyway. I mean, you saw him in this movie, so how? Oh, Granny Goodness. Oh, it could have been Granny Goodness. That might have been cool. I don't remember him talking about that, but that could have been cool. Granny Goodness that's also crazy and fun. But yeah, so look, there was a lot of great conversations that I had with David about, even just getting our Batman in and getting our Flash in Suicide Squad to try and start doing that a little bit. But we were also not incredibly. We didn't want to go too crazy with it. At the same time, we were trying to be and the idea was that the different directors would kind of have their take, and we try and just support each other, so that it could mesh up, but at the same time not force anyone into a decision maybe they didn't want to make. Right? That makes as best you can. It's hard sometimes because you're like, look, I need Steppenwolf because he's the bad guy. One of the bad guys in this movie. So anyway, so those are the conversations that we had, and I thought that everyone was doing a really pretty good job as we went forward, and Patty was awesome because she had to take my photo, and put it in her movie, and we had to work out how that happened because we shot. So we had a placeholder photo for a long time that Steve Berkman, who is a teacher at this school and who shot both photos, took. Because even before we had a script for Wonder Woman, we didn't know, we weren't sure when that movie was going to happen and how it was going to happen. And so we had to, just based on our story, we had taken a picture of Wonder Woman in a ancient war with, a team of soldiers, very similar to the one that ended up in her movie. Now, there was an actual story built around the one that she has in her movie, and so that was I thought that was the best case scenario, right? So, what about it? You mean how she used it or how it evolved? The Wonder Woman theme was written specifically for this movie, because when we wrote the theme for Wonder Woman in this movie, there wasn't a Wonder Woman movie yet. So you can imagine that. And then it was up to Patty whether she wanted to use it or not, right? And I think it's in the movie. So yeah, so she was like, yeah, cool. And I think Hans is doing now Wonder Woman 84. So that's a good relationship. That's nice. So that's, I think, the best case scenario for how the whole thing could work. And as far as, listen. No. What I was going to say is that, look, when this movie came out, understand that we had written, Chris Terry and I had finished the script for Justice League before this movie came out, right? So that script was done. Movie came out, and some people didn't like the movie. a vocal minority. and so I was asked by the studio to like say, hey, you can't, there's a lot of stuff we don't want you to do from that script. So we did a rewrite, right, of the script. So the original Justice League that Chris and I wrote, we didn't even shoot. I mean, there's a lot of it that we shot, but the actual idea, the hard idea, the scary idea, we never filmed because the studio was like, that's crazy. And we were so insecure at the time after this movie came out, we were just like, I guess it is crazy. Like, we're fucking nuts. Like, what are we, there's gonna be mass hysteria in the streets if we film this. Apparently,
Crazy. All right.
it's a long story. But suffice it to say, that like, so look, the truth is that, you know, the nightmare sequence in this movie, right, was always my idea that all of that would be eventually explained, of course. I mean, is that a surprise? You know, that we would end up in the distant future where Darkseid has taken over Earth and where Superman has succumbed to the anti-life and where he and now with his ragtag band. And there was a few members of the Justice League that had survived to that world and that they were fighting to try and you know, so Batman's with the broken half a cyborg because, you know, it's only half of him because of whatever happened. They were working on equation to jump flash back to tell Bruce, you know, obviously, you guys aren't surprised because you know this is what I've read it.
So now that you know this, don't tell anybody.
Nice. Anyway, so those were the things that we were dealing with. And not to say that the studio still, you know, they were still into sort of the big look, but the details of how and why everyone was mad at each other or why, that was the stuff where they were a little bit like, because, you know, Lois, you know, and it's in the little teaser where the Justice League teaser that wasn't in the movie apparently, where Wonder Woman says, it's this line where Bruce says, I was right here, and Barry Allen came to me, and he said, Lois Lane is the key, right? And then she goes, he is the Superman. Every heart has one. And he goes, I think it's something more, something darker, right? And what it means is that the thing that was darker was that, you know, it was all about if Lois died, Superman would succumb to the anti-life, of course, right? And if Superman knew that somehow it was Bruce's responsibility to protect Lois, he would have been mad at him in this movie, right? Like, so that's why he says, she was my world and you took her from me. So that was sort of and then of course, he has to jump back. And the other thing that we were working on was this idea that Cyborg said to Bruce in the distant future, like, there's two windows. We had come up with this time traveling concept where basically the way the time traveling window worked is that it's not awesome physics and doesn't make any sense, but that you had to jump, you had to do a time jump when the Earth was in relatively the same spot, right? Because if you did a time jump and the Earth wasn't like in the same position in space, you would jump into space and just be like dead. And so, okay, so there's always like, so they had two windows, right, to do the jump. And Cyborg says, like, what, you know, which of these two windows do you think we should use? And Bruce was like, well, what window would you have put me through if you didn't ask? And he's like, this one. And then he's like, use the other one. Because that one you already did, and it was the wrong one. Barry Allen was in my freaking Batcave yelling at me about like nonsense. So you need to put him through that other one, because that's the one that will, because he had to jump right before Darkseid boom tubes into the Batcave to murder Lois, so you have to like, anyway. So that was the window that he had to hit. Anyway.
All right, so I'm just gonna say that
It's in the
right
future.
there,
It's in the
easily worth
future.
another 100.
It's in the future.
There you go.